So I just tweaked a B flat generation whistle to a B natural. All you need is a whistle in B flat, a file, a circular rasp works really well, and you can pick these up from pretty much any hardware store, and you need a hacksaw. A vise is also a good idea. Watch how it's done. So I've got this nickel B flat generation tube here, and I am converting it to a B natural. So I've taken off a bit of length at the end, and I can give you measurements. Oops. I can give you measurements when I'm all done. But now I'm taking off from the head end and doing this with a hacksaw. Nickel is very, very slippery, so it's hard to get the notch started. But we're going now, and so once I get this chunk off here, and I'll put the measurements in the description, then it'll be time to pop a head on this and start playing with the tone holes to try to get the individual tones in tune. Okay, so I've cut off the top end here. Now again, I'll put measurements in the description because it's just easier to see that way. And then what I'm doing is just taking off any of those sharp spurs. I got a circular rasp here, which works pretty well for the inside stuff. And then I've just got a simple file, a fine one. So just making sure that's nice and flat. And then making sure that there's no little sharp bits sticking off. So just working around the outside. And this doesn't have to be perfect because it's the top end where the mouthpiece is going to go, and that's going to be covered up. I am erring on the side of potentially making this a little bit shorter than longer, so I don't have to cut anymore, and because when you put the mouthpiece on, you've actually got this much to work with, so I can lengthen the tube by pulling the mouthpiece out, but at a certain point I can't push it on anymore. So I'm just kind of doing things in between sets of my workout, but what I've noticed is that the end where I had cut was just a little bit wonky, and so the whistle wouldn't stand up on its own. So what I've been doing, it's fine now because we're working on it, but just to put a file flat on a bench, and I've been just working it a little bit, slowly shaving it down until it was able to balance. You'll have to excuse my crazy workbench right now. There's a lot of building going on. But you'll see I've put actually, what is this? This is hockey tape on the back of this nickel bore here because the nickel is incredibly slippery and hard to hold on to. I've had this for, geez, maybe 6 years, 5-6 years. And that hockey tape has been awesome. Just allows it to stay a little bit more secure in my grip. I just realized I was showing off the C whistle head. I was like, why isn't this fitting? Well, it's because this is the one for the original B flat. All right, now I'll get to tuning it. Okay, you'll have to excuse the mess, but I've got my whistle cut to size. It was a B flat, it should be at a B now, and so the bass note is okay. I've got my spare phone here, my old one, that's using a tuner, and so we're just going to test the bell tone there. All right, it's about 20 notches flat, so I'm just going to push this in just a touch. Make sure it's still lined up. Spot on. Now, we're going to try and get the other ones in line. But let's see how the other ones go. So we got the bass note B. Pretty good. Next one, as we see on my list here, is a C sharp. little flat. Let's just see what the D sharp sounds like. They're coming in a bit flat. So what I'm going to do is, starting for the C sharp, I'm going to expand this bottom hole. So it's only a touch flat. So I'm going to use this rasp here, circular one, and I'm just going to work this a little bit bigger. Now, I do have another plan that involves using the drill, but I don't know if I'm going to need to actually remove that much material. So let's see how we go. And so all I'm doing is just running this around the inside. I'm not working too hard. I'm just doing little circles. Just taking off a little bit. Okay, now I have a Bnat whistle. It's about as tweaked as I can get it. So as I've mentioned before, I use on these nickel whistles, I use a piece of hockey tape for a little bit of grip because they're very slippery. I've bound the head because it's very cracked from when I broke the glue to tweak the inside with the blue tack tweak. If you're not familiar with that, have a little YouTube. There's lots of options there. So I just use a synthetic thread and nail polish, and that's pretty solid there. So this is a Bnat whistle. I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. It seems like a fun project. I don't know anything that I need to play with the bee whistle except for fun. I have been sort of exploring this one YouTube channel that's all about blues on the tin whistle. It's called Blues Tin Whistle. Check it out. Let's see what it sounds like. It's not bad.